Massive escalation is unfolding across the Middle East tonight as United States and Israeli forces continue their relentless bombardment of Iranian cities, including the capital Tehran, the strategic city of Isfahan, and the military hub of Hamadan. Iran, far from backing down, has launched a fierce counterattack, with damage now being reported in several Israeli cities. What we are witnessing right now could be the most dangerous moment in modern Middle Eastern history. Before we break down everything that is happening right now, from the military strikes to the diplomatic chaos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single update on this rapidly developing crisis. Starting with the latest from Tehran, United States and Israeli warplanes have continued their coordinated bombing campaign against the Iranian capital. Reports from the ground describe wave after wave of airstrikes hitting military installations, government buildings, and what coalition forces describe as strategic command centers. Residents in Tehran describe scenes of absolute chaos. Air raid sirens have been sounding throughout the night. Massive explosions have been heard across the city. Emergency services are overwhelmed as fires burn across multiple districts. The strikes are not limited to Tehran. The historic city of Isfahan and the military hub of Hamadan have also come under intense attack. Isfahan, home to critical nuclear research facilities, has been targeted repeatedly. Hamadan, which houses key Iranian military bases and underground missile storage sites, is also being hit with precision-guided munitions. The scale of this operation suggests a systematic campaign to degrade Iran's military infrastructure across the entire country. But Iran is not sitting idle. In what military analysts are calling a significant retaliatory response, Iranian forces have launched waves of ballistic missiles and long-range drones toward Israeli territory. Multiple Israeli cities have reported damage from these strikes. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps released a statement saying, quote, "Every attack on Iranian soil will be met with devastating consequences. Iranian missile batteries, many of which are hidden in deep underground bunkers, continue to fire salvos toward Israel, and defense systems on both sides are being pushed to their absolute limits." On the Israeli side, the damage from Iranian counterstrikes is becoming increasingly visible. Several cities have reported explosions and structural damage. Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow missile defense systems have been working around the clock to intercept incoming threats. But the sheer volume of missiles and drones being launched by Iran is testing the limits of these systems. Israeli officials have urged citizens to remain near shelters as the bombardment continues. Meanwhile, in Washington, President Donald Trump made a significant statement today, claiming that the United States is, quote, talking to Iran, but that Tehran is, quote, not yet ready to make a deal. This marks a notable shift in rhetoric from the White House, which until now has maintained a purely military posture. However, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi immediately rejected Trump's characterization, stating that Tehran never sought a ceasefire with the United States and is, quote, ready for a long war. This diplomatic deadlock is deeply concerning for analysts watching the situation. Trump has also made an extraordinary demand to NATO allies, calling on them to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the critical shipping route through which roughly 20% of the world's oil passes. Iran has threatened to block this strategic waterway, which would send global energy prices skyrocketing and potentially trigger an economic crisis far beyond the Middle East. The war's price tag has already reached approximately $12 billion, according to Trump administration advisors, and that number is climbing rapidly every single day. The conflict is also spreading alarm across the Persian Gulf. Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia have all reported intercepting drones and missiles in their airspace. These Gulf nations, many of which host American military bases, find themselves caught in an increasingly dangerous crossfire. In a particularly alarming development, a drone incident caused a fire near Dubai International Airport. Authorities say the fire was contained, but the incident has raised serious concerns about the safety of civilian infrastructure in the region. Let me show you the scale of what we are dealing with here. The entire region from the eastern Mediterranean to the Persian Gulf is now effectively a war zone. Strikes are being launched and intercepted across thousands of miles. Military assets from the United States, Israel, and Iran are all operating simultaneously in this vast area. Naval vessels are positioned throughout the Gulf, fighter jets are conducting sorties from multiple air bases, and missile systems on all sides remain on hair-trigger alert. And the devastation is not limited to Iran and Israel. The situation in Lebanon has become catastrophic. Israeli military operations in southern Lebanon have now claimed over 850 lives, including more than 100 children. Israeli tanks and ground forces have amassed along the Lebanese border in what appears to be preparation for a major ground operation. Hezbollah, Iran's most powerful regional ally, has been exchanging heavy fire with Israeli forces, and the humanitarian situation in southern Lebanon is described by aid organizations as absolutely dire. Hezbollah has vowed to continue fighting alongside Iran, launching rockets deep into northern Israel. The group's extensive tunnel network and rocket arsenal, built up over decades with Iranian support, represents a formidable threat that Israeli forces have struggled to neutralize. Military analysts say that a full-scale Israeli ground invasion of Lebanon could open an entirely new front in this already multi-front war, stretching Israeli military resources even further. What makes this situation so extraordinarily dangerous is the potential for further escalation. We are already witnessing the largest military confrontation in the Middle East since the Gulf War. The United States has committed significant air and naval power to this operation, with aircraft carrier strike groups positioned in both the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. Iran, despite being outmatched in conventional military terms, has proven that it can inflict real damage through its ballistic missile program, its drone technology, and its network of regional allies, including Hezbollah, the Houthis, and various militias across Iraq and Syria. There is also the deeply concerning nuclear dimension. Iran's nuclear facilities have been among the primary targets of the coalition strikes. The destruction of these facilities could release radioactive material, creating an environmental catastrophe. At the same time, some analysts fear that if Iran believes its nuclear program is being completely destroyed, it could take unpredictable and desperate measures. The international community, including China and Russia, has called for an immediate ceasefire. But so far, those calls have fallen on deaf ears. The economic fallout from this conflict is already being felt around the world. Oil prices have surged to their highest levels in years as fears grow over the potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Global stock markets have experienced significant volatility, with defense stocks rising sharply while energy-dependent industries face mounting pressure. The $12 billion price tag mentioned by Trump administration officials is expected to balloon as the conflict continues, with no end in sight. Shipping companies are rerouting vessels away from the Persian Gulf, adding billions more in logistics costs to the global economy. So what happens next? The truth is, nobody knows. The diplomatic channels that Trump claims exist have been flatly denied by Iran. The military campaign shows no signs of slowing down on either side. The humanitarian toll is mounting by the hour. Gulf states are increasingly nervous about being drawn further into the conflict, and the global economy is bracing for even more disruption. What we do know is that every hour this conflict continues, the risk of further escalation grows. A miscalculation, an unintended strike on the wrong target, or a decision by any party to cross a new red line could transform this conflict into something even more catastrophic. We will continue to bring you every development as this crisis unfolds. If you want to stay informed on the latest breaking news and geopolitical analysis, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand what is really happening in the Middle East right now. Stay safe, stay informed, and we will see you in the next update.